Welcome to Gappa Tappa with RJ, and this is Cinemeow. Cinemeow is not a movie review or analysis podcast, but it's a podcast where I just speak about movies. At some point, I would do analysis because I'm a filmmaker and like an editor myself. But I really can't review films because what happens is the creativity and critic or criticism doesn't go along. So, long story short, this video or audio contains spoilers, but it's not a movie review. And now, welcome to Cinemeow, and this episode is called Remembering Tumbbad after 5 years. Tumbbad is, to give you just a snapshot, Tumbbad is one of my favorite films that ever made in India, in Indian cinema. And it's like, I'm having that whole national pride sort of a moment right now because it's really something we did for the first time. The film, obviously like there are a ton of videos on this already on YouTube, so you must have heard about it. The film took 21 years to complete, so it's a masterpiece. Let's just leave it to that, and now I'll start reading through what I wrote about this film. So I've been meaning to write or speak about Tumbbad since I watched it. I was living in Bangalore and I was doing my first ever job in advertising. I watched Tumbbad like 5 times or maybe 4 times in the cinemas. I absolutely love that film, and now that I sat with a pen and paper, I'm able to articulate my thoughts with much clarity. But before I get into my thoughts on the film, I would like to mention that a lot of YouTubers who have reviewed Tumbbad helped me articulate my thoughts as I started reading, as I started writing. And like one of the my favorite review that added to my perspective was Anupama Chopra's review on Film Companion, where she said that towards the end of the video, she said the film does not answer some questions, and she's so on point. I think in general, regardless of genre, I have liked films that don't answer questions. Sometimes some films do that by mistake, especially the old 90s Bollywood films. Secondly, the film Tumbbad is inspired by works of Narayan Dharap, who is an acclaimed horror writer of Marathi literature. My dad have read his work when he was growing up. My uncle did, and even my mom tells me she tried to read one of Dharap's novella, and she just couldn't get through because, my mom is not into horror stories at all. But my parents never kept me away from reading horror stories. And when I was in school, I used to read short horror stories of another great, my personal favorite Marathi horror writer, Ratnakar Matkari. How I separate Dharap's work from Matkari is that if I read Ratnakar Matkari's story at the age of 13, the images that come to my mind that are translated through his words are different than the images I would see when I would read that story at the age of 17. And this has happened to me. Like, the story remains the same, but the other things that your mind and your brain renders, the images, they change. Those are based on the other stuff that you read or you watch. And that is something also I felt while watching Tumbbad every single time. Even when Tumbbad came to digital, I felt something different about the story. As I said earlier, the story is the same, but that thrill is elevated, and you still see something different in the frames. The third element is what I call the shifting story. Whose story is it? Is it Hastar's story? Is it the grandmother's story? Is it Vinayak's story, or is it Vinayak's mother's story? Because definitely Vinayak's mother's character has some sort of a secret that they did not reveal. Like, she knew about this stuff, but she, obviously, because that boat scene where Vinayak is shown like a young kid, obviously she wouldn't tell him everything. um, but like, yeah, so whose story it is a very unanswered question, and I like that. At least for me, like the biggest question is that why the grandmother is living in Vinayak's house. It's like, now that I write, I'm remembering some scenes in detail. So like, Sarkar is, maybe Sarkar is Vinayak's father, because the grandmother is Sarkar's mother. Like, there's a reference that says that. So maybe either Vinayak is Sarkar's son, and therefore uh, Vinayak's mother is taking care of. She's even their maid, or like she works for Sarkar. So she doesn't have a choice if Sarkar has asked her to, keep taking care of his old mother. But there's some sort of a secret that is again unanswered, and that's like elevates the beauty of the film. Fourth element that elevates the beauty of Tumbbad is like, what would have happened if Vinayak would not have let that grandmother die? Like, what would have happened? I mean, I as I remember, she has almost become a tree, or like her heart is attached to the tree, and like she tells him the secret, and then she asks him to like jala de mujhe, like burn me, and that's when he burns her. But like my question is, if he would not have burned the tree, which is like in other words, burn her, would he not have been able to open that secret door, or like something would have stopped him from like going through that door? Because somewhere I also feel like the only way you can move out of this curse is by passing it on to someone. So that grandmother literally passed her curse to Vinayak in that moment, like, who thought that she's giving him the key and the treasure of the gold, or like whatever. But, and like, my biggest problem, my biggest frustration right now is that I'm not able to find Tumbbad on any streaming service. I was like, I'll go on YouTube and buy it for like $20 or something, but it's not even available there. So I really am writing based on what I remember from this movie I saw 6 times almost. Yeah. So like, and like another reference that I remember is that, like, his friend or acquaintance who chases him this one time in the secret door. Let's just call it a secret place. I don't want people to know it who haven't seen this film. So when they go to the secret place where they have the when they have the scene with Hastar, or Hastar comes in touch with his friend, Vinayak's friend, he's like swollen and like infected and sort of a thing, but he's not dead. He's powerless. He looks very scary, but he's powerless. And then again, Vinayak kills him. Like, Vinayak gives him like, what do you call, like what we call moksha. But like, on a very philosophical level, I'm trying to figure things out here, is that, call it Hastar or call it those elements, what are they? And they are symbol of a cursed entity that happened because of greed, right? And then where did the gold coins came to them? It's not like, they carry the gold coins, but they cannot use them. That's their punishment. Like, there will be some other greedy mortal men that would come and steal off of you. That's the curse. So somewhere, if grandmother would not have died, or Vinayak's friend would not have died, or like burnt, would they become Hastar, would they also have become those entities, those cursed entities, and they would have been looted? If this story would have not been made in the horror genre, like when as common people we we speak about being looted by the corporations, are we the hustlers? Are we these entities who have been punished that we have looted something in some parallel time and we are being punished by hustler or like by something? Yeah, I don't know. I think I should stop at this point because I know I'm on a very interesting place in my thoughts right now, uh, but I'm not able to articulate it. But I think I'll definitely make a different episode of this. But it's like basically try, like what I'm trying to say in nutshell is like when we think of the phrase "what goes around comes around," like somewhere that phrase has something to do with people coming in touch with Hastar and maybe becoming Hastar in a parallel reality of the film's universe. If you like, please hit like, comment, subscribe, and talk to you soon.